So if you're watching this video, you will have hopefully already seen some state diagrams like this one that describe finite state automata, and you will have had a go at working out which kinds of inputs are accepted by the finite state automata described in those diagrams. But what we're going to do today is the exact opposite of that. We're going to be given which inputs we want to be accepted, and we're going to create our own diagrams describing the finite state automata that will accept those inputs. And we're going to be doing that with a tool called Exorciser. I've put Exorciser on the school computers at this location: S drive, technology, 13com, FSA, and then there's a link to Exorciser. When you first try to open it on the school computers, it might take a good 30 seconds to boot up, but if you're patient, you should be able to click this link, S technology, 13com, FSA, Exorciser, and it will open this tool here, which we can use to create our own state diagrams. There's a bunch of different things you can do with the tool that we're not going to look at at all. We're only going to click on this very first link that says constructing finite automata. So to get to the page we want, click that link, constructing finite automata, and you'll get to this page here that's mostly blank. And in here we can create some state diagrams of our own. If I want to add a state, there are two ways to do it. I can right click, there's a bunch of options including add state, or I can double click. Every time I double click, I am adding another state onto the page. There are some options I have with my states. If I right click on one, I can delete one, or I can make it an accepting state, which gets that second circle around it, or I can make it the starting state. That one's already the starting state. I can also edit the label by clicking edit label and giving it a different name. But those are the options you have with states. You can make it accepting or starting, or you can delete it. You'll also notice that when I hover over one of the states, there are two different blue circles that appear. If I'm inside the central blue circle and I drag, then I can move the state around. But if I'm inside the edge blue circle and I drag, that's how I create transitions between states. So anytime you want to create a transition, you hover over the edge of the circle and you start dragging. And if you let go when you're over one of the other states, you will have created a transition. And now it's asking me what letters do I want to be involved in this transition. I can say A as an option, or B, or it gives me the option of both A and B, or A or B being involved in the transition with this bar here. So there's A or B. If I hit A or B, then I go from state 0 to state 3. That's because Exorciser doesn't let you have two arrows going in the same direction. So if I wanted both A and B to go to state 3, I'd select that option there that says A or B. I can also delete a transition. You can right click on the transition if you're precise. Then you get the options to change what it is, or you can delete it. But you can also just drag a transition twice. So the first time I drag it, I can say it's A. The second time I make the same transition, I have the option to delete that and it's disappeared. So that's how I can do stuff with states. And if I have A going that way, I can drag back the other way and have a B going that way. So those are my options with states. I drag between one state, transitions, I drag between one state and the other, and it gives me what kind of transition do I want to create between those two states. The only other things you can do are all in the special right-click menu you get when you right-click anywhere that's blank on the screen. So if I drag the blank background around, then I can drag my whole diagram. I can delete the entire diagram, which means I can start from scratch if I want to. I can change the letters that are involved, so you'll see it starts with A and B, but I could select more letters if I wanted more options to choose from in my transitions. That would be changing the alphabet. I can change the layout. This is for when, if your diagram starts to look really messy, you can come into layout. Organic tries to split it based on what it thinks looks nice, and circle puts all of your states like at equal distance from each other. So it'll try to make the layout look nice for you. There's style, which is a bit pointless, but if you wanted to, you can have a 3D style. But most importantly, there's this checkbox here that says track input. I'm going to check that checkbox that says track input, and this will bring up a bar down the bottom showing me what inputs I have. And you'll see right now it's got a red button because the empty state is not accepted. So when I focus on the input, you see it's highlighted this first state here because that's where I am right now. I'm at the start. The empty input is not accepted, so it's red. But if I make this state an accepting state, then it goes green because the empty input is accepted. Now what I can do is I can type in an A and I'll go to state 3. And you'll see because state 3 is an accepting state, the input is accepted. And if I type in a B, it'll go back to state Q0, so the input is no longer accepted. Every time I type an A, it's accepted, and a B, it's not accepted. So you can see that input there tells you whether or not your finite state automata is going to accept the input that you type in. So once you're comfortable using Exorciser, you will want to come back to section 15.3.2, which gives you some instructions on how you will want to create FSAs that accept certain kinds of inputs. So here's one that accepts the empty string. Here's one that must start with A, B, A before it gets accepted. And here's an example that does not accept odd numbers of B's, but does accept even number of B's. So there's some suggestions there for how you can create your own FSAs. This shows you you'll want to do, you've got both of your A, B arrows, but you'll want to do something with your A arrows as well. So you think about where they go, then you have a full diagram. And then it gives you some examples to try. And this is what we're going to look at in Exorciser. So let's do this very first example together. Strings that start with the letter A. I'll go into Exorciser and I'll double click to create my first state. Does this start with the letter A? No, not yet, so it's not an accepting state. But let's create another state. This one starts with the letter A, so I'll make it an accepting state. I also need to have a B coming out of this transition, of this state here. If it starts with a B, then it's not going to be accepted. So let's create another state. This state should not be an accepting state. If I transition using a B, then it's not going to be accepted. Now this state that starts with an A, so long as it starts with an A, it's going to be accepted forever. So everything else here, both A and B, continues to be accepted. And everything else over here, if I've started with a B, everything else continues to be rejected forever. So this is the answer to this first exercise here. Everything that starts with the letter A, if it starts with an A, it's accepted forever. If it starts with a B, it's rejected forever. So every single one of my states has an A and a B arrow coming out of it. Remembering that this A or B is combined, and it means both those arrows stay exactly where they are. I can check that by right-clicking and highlighting track input. When the input is empty, it's not accepted. If it starts with an A, then it doesn't matter what else I type in, it will always be accepted. It will stay in that state 1. If I type in a B, then it doesn't matter what else I type in, it will be rejected. So that's the test to check whether or not all of the inputs for this first example are correct. Then you can continue with the rest of these examples. And if you're finding these ones too easy, there are a bunch of challenges within Exorciser as well, which are these challenges here. So every time you click the beginner's link, you get a new exercise pop up in Exorciser. Here's a super easy one. A language that accepts all the words such that the words have an odd length. So I can delete my practice one there. If I hit check answer right now, it will, okay, first it says my answer is empty. Let's create a state. I hit check answer. It says my answer is wrong because I haven't checked the word a. I should accept something that's just the word a because that has an odd length. So this has an a. It's an accepting state. This has an odd length. I can check the answer again and it says it doesn't accept the word B. So actually this one here should be an A or a B. Anything that I do that becomes an odd length. I can check again. It will keep giving me examples that don't match, that don't get the right result. This one will say I haven't accounted for if there are 3 A's because there are other ways to get odd lengths than just one. What I want to have is any even number of transitions goes back to this not accepting state, and any odd number goes to the accepting state. Now when I check the answer, it'll say well done because I've worked out the answer and I've got it right. Some of these are a lot harder than others. If I go to one of these that looks too hard or I haven't worked out how to solve it, I can click the solve exercise button and that will produce the answer for me. Sometimes the solutions look harder than they really are, so I do encourage you to give it your own go first. Like in this one here, it has to end with BAA. What's really going on is they've got these states here that go B. Ends with BBA, sorry. They've got these states that go B, B, A, and so long as it does that, B, B, A, it's accepted, and everything else goes back to the previous step. So if you've done BBA and then you do something else, it'll go back to the start. If you do a B, then you can still do BA to get back to it. Anytime you click the wrong thing, it basically goes back one state. So if I just click solve exercise, it's a bit hard to tell what's going on, but you can follow the arrows and work out how they've drawn something that matches this example. So do try a few of these beginner exercises once you've finished all of the ones from the CS Field Guide. And if you're really daring, you can click on Advanced. The advanced ones usually just combine 2 of the beginner ones together. So it says contains exactly 4 B's, or it doesn't contain this infix. And sometimes one of these conditions is always true if the other one is true. Like in this example here, if it contains 4 B's, it's guaranteed. Well, you can work it out for yourself, but some of them create very, very complicated diagrams like this one. So not all of the advanced ones, I think, are all of that doable, but some are possible. About half of them, I think, are, I would say, easy enough to solve, and some of them require a whole bunch of meddling. So there are some levels here. If you're very comfortable doing all of these, then try several of these beginner exercises and see if you can work out how to solve those. And if you're comfortable with the beginner ones, then have a go at some of the advanced ones as well. And if there's ever something that you just think seems way too complicated, then you can click solve exercise and work out how they managed to do it. This one here, it contains exactly 3 B's and it ends with AA. So long as you've done 1, 2, 3 B's, then you get to this finishing solution with AA. But anytime you stop having 3 B's, then you have to wait until you've had another B. Pretty much you can treat this one here like the starting state of something that ends with AA. So you can break some of these solutions down and work out how they get made. Try it yourself, hit right click, delete, to get a blank canvas, and you can hit check answer. It will give you a whole bunch of hints, and if you're really stuck, there's solve exercise and it will give the answer for you. I think that's everything that I need to cover. There's 3 levels of examples. The ones in CS Field Guide, the beginners and the advanced. The different things you can do in here. Double click to create states. The inside circle, you can drag them. The outside circle lets you create transitions. You can select different options. And every time you type in an input, it'll tell you whether or not the input is accepted with this red and green light. That should give you everything you need to use Exorciser. So have fun.